Support Wrestle Talk!
Give us a subscribe. Hello and welcome to WrestleRamble episode 12. This is Luke Owen, I'm Oli Davis, and today we're going to be reviewing the episodes of Raw and Smackdown from this week, including Braun Strowman losing to Kalisto and Shinsuke Nakamura's first bad segment on the main roster, and then deciding which brand had the better show. If you want to go straight to those topics of conversation, go into the timestamps in the video description below. But right now, what did you think of Raw, Luke Owens? Not Luke Owens, as many people seem to say in the comments.
I think it's because people are so used to Kevin Owens. So
I'd agree.
They just assume that I also have the surname Owens, when it's not, it's Owen.
Yeah,
with no S.
There is only one of Luke. You are not a plural.
No, I am.
Yeah.
I am solo. I'm a unique being. I'm a beautiful snowflake, as some might say.
I should put on name bar graphics, but that will take like 30 seconds more
I know.
work.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was going to suggest to you that you should put like a ticker tape at the bottom. You know, almost like talking smack of like comments they go through. But not only that, but you should also, like, when we do emails, that like the email is up on the screen as well, so it looks like we're reading the screen. But that does require you to do more editing, and and that is against your nature.
Thanks for putting those thoughts and expectations in people's minds.
Yeah, we're not saying that will happen. It should happen.
If you want to, you could just like scroll through Twitter and hold it in the bottom of the screen if you want to have that breaking news.
Yeah, like
effect.
put it landscape.
Yeah,
and
landscape.
Scroll that way, yeah.
Hopefully it will auto-lock into that way. So in the top of our notes, I'll just read that here. We lose a lot of people in the first minute is the analytics. So do a quick tease of the big topics, then go straight into the main one. Have Ramble Chat later. And we are just Ramble Chat.
Well, that's because you set me up for Ramble Chat. So I'm actually gonna jump ahead, and I'm gonna give you my thoughts on Raw if you would like.
Go ahead. Well, that's why we're here.
That's why we're here. I thought it was a terrible episode of wrestling. A really, really rotten show. A bad show. A bad go-home show.
I forget it was a go-home show.
Well, you're forgiven for forgetting that it's a go-home show because, I mean, it didn't make me excited for any matches that are happening this coming Sunday. And that's the point of a go-home show, is to make you excited for those matches. I haven't a single interest in Roman v. Strowman. I haven't a single interest in Bray v. Orton.
I'm racking my mind for who's on the card.
Owens Jericho, not asked about.
Rollins Joe.
I forgot that match was on the card.
All of these things, by the way, we're going to have a payback predictions video up for you tomorrow, so we won't go into it too deeply.
But I'm not excited for any of those matches. And then there's just some baffling booking decisions made on this show that, I wasn't keen on it, and I know you weren't keen on it either.
The big cliffhanger was Bray Wyatt giving a Sister Abigail to The Miz.
Oh, poor Miz.
Let's go in order, because I've written down a structure here.
Yeah.
It opened bad, and somehow it got worse.
Sorry.
Which was, well done, Dana Brooke and Alicia Fox. I think that was a low point, not just of the show, but of wrestling in 2017.
Yeah, it really was. And I mean, I've been a big defender of Dana Brooke on these videos because
both of us.
Because I love wrestling.
Because we both love what were you going to say?
I was going to love
wrestling ability and character.
Yeah, character. Well, I mean, I don't love her wrestling ability because, I mean, she stinks in the ring.
I would say anything to her if I was in a conversation. Because I'm scared of she's a muscly lady.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I her arms are amazing and terrifying at the same time. But it was a real low point. She's not good in the ring, and it was like
she's gotten worse.
She is getting worse.
I prefer when we critique stuff to aim it at the company.
Yeah,
I feel a lot more comfortable criticizing and slagging off this faceless corporate structure.
Yes,
and WWE and that just monolithic organization. I don't like singling out people.
No, I don't like it either.
But it's kind of hard not to when it was a dead match. The crowd was so silent, and was it a
Michinoku driver?
That's the word that I can't say.
Not a good Michinoku driver.
It was like a fireman's carry. into a drop.
Do you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of that dark period of women's wrestling in like 2010, 2012.
2000 and enter number here.
Yeah, like 1998, 1999, like any period, but without the last couple of years, basically any period of women's wrestling. Like, remember we had like those matches with, who was not Naomi, the other Funkadactyl, Cameron.
Cameron, yes.
Who was so bad in the ring that she once tried to pin someone when they were face down on the mat. That she just literally, she went down to cover them and then said, "Ref, count."
Yeah.
And the ref was like...
It's a heel move.
And it wasn't, it was, she just didn't know. And the ref was like, this is on Raw, on live TV they put this out there. And the ref was like, I can't, it's not a pinfall, I can't count that.
And they wanted to get, from what I remember, they were behind Cameron out of the two. And look how good Naomi is.
And bearing in mind as well, Cameron, lest we forget, was the tough enough contestant.
Are you going to say the moment?
That moment, the Steve Austin...
What was it? What's
your favourite match of all
ever?
time? And it was Melina versus someone. And like she said it with a completely straight face. And Austin's like, I mean, what do you say to that?
So, if you're unaware of this fantastic clip, it is from what's Tough Enough, isn't it? Yeah. And it's the series with, obviously, Cameron was on it. Who else was on it?
I can't even remember the guys that won that show.
There was a really good guy who didn't win. And didn't one of the other chaps is now in AAA. This is really detailed stuff. Pretty vague.
But like, okay, you know, like the lad who won last year's Tough Enough has just been released. So like,
Josh Bradle.
like they are terrible at picking Tough Enough winners. Because the only person to come out of Tough Enough that survived is The Miz.
Oh, I was going to say Maven is still in the Royal Rumble, isn't he? To my knowledge, he wasn't thrown over the top rope.
Yes, he was. Undertaker, no, he dumped him over the top rope and then continued to beat him up.
No, I remember this. He pulled him underneath.
No, he didn't. He pulled him over the top rope.
Did he really?
I'm almost certain he pulled him over the top rope.
I know he shoved his head into the gumball machine.
The popcorn machine,
or a popcorn machine.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to this moment from Tough Enough. Steve Austin's there and he says that. And it is this is the movement that I like. It's just... He puts the hand up.
If you've not even seen the clip, you'll have seen the GIF because it's quite a famous and popular GIF used around. It's so funny, and she was the one who was picked.
Yeah. Okay. So this lovely structure that I've set out for ourselves, we've just jumped straight into Dana Brooke. It's like the Star Wars trilogies.
Okay,
we've gone in the middle.
Okay, so I've got two things really to bring up on about this week's Raw.
About the whole. You don't want to stick to my lovely.
Do you want to stick to the? Yeah, you stick to your thing.
You know what? No.
One of my topics is coming up anyway.
Okay, so terrible. Whose show is it anyway? Opening segment.
Poor Miz.
That went on so long.
Poor Miz, man. Okay, I mean, let's talk about the segment first off. A dreadful segment that went 20+ minutes, and to put that in perspective, people. When you say like an opening segment is 20 minutes, because maybe it feels like it's really long when you're watching it on TV, and it feels really long because that's the length of your average American sitcom.
That's a good point.
Like, that's watching an episode of Friends.
Or an episode of Parks and Recreation.
Or an episode of Frasier.
I love all those shows.
I thought you were going to say another...
much rather.
I thought you were going to say another American sitcom. We were just going to banter back and forth.
Oh, no, I ran out. Imagine, but actually, I've never actually thought of that. I usually just think of it in wrestling terms.
Yeah.
But rather than watching 3 hours of Raw every week, I could watch 9 episodes of an American sitcom.
Yeah.
Or different sitcoms.
Yeah,
Maybe 3 of this episode.
You couldn't do British sitcoms on the BBC because they were all half an hour.
Half hour.
Yeah.
I could learn a language. If you did 3 hours every week of something, rather than wasting it on Raw.
Think of all the good things we could be doing.
Look at all the self-improvement. We could have solved the Middle East crisis by now. Cured world hunger.
Our country is currently in this political quandary. They probably could put all their differences aside if they stopped watching Raw every Monday and just actually sat down and chatted to each other. But anywho, so yeah, like that's watching an entire episode of Friends. Like, and bearing in mind, like Friends, that's got a beginning, a middle, and an end. With like multiple arcs strewn over the place, with like scenes that last 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah.
This is just 3 lads saying things to each other. Not funny things, not clever things, not witty things, not entertaining things, just things. And it went on and on and on.
Okay, so I'm not going to completely bury the segment, because to say of the whole 20 minutes nothing entertained me, that would be a lie. Because it's almost probability-wise, there was a few things in there that made me chuckle. And it was...
the Christmas jacket.
I like the Christmas jacket. So I don't think we've explained the segment. If you just watch this instead of watching Raw, well done. Hope the language learning's going well. You had Chris Jericho come out with the highlight reel, and then The Miz came out and was like, well, no, that's rubbish. I'm going to make Miz TV now. And then the goons changed the ring up. And then Dean Ambrose was like, that's rude, Miz. You shouldn't take over other people's segments. Let's do Ambrose Asylum, which was a nice joke. And then, Dean Ambrose got out the jacket, which was a reference back to when he destroyed Jericho's jacket last year. And he talked about Mitch the plant as well. But that's pretty much it. I mean, those two jokes where I snickered. Sniggered.
Yes.
Not snickered. It's a chocolate bar.
A marathon.
That was 20 minutes worth,
Yeah, it's too long a segment. Like, I know you got 3 hours to fill and stuff, but like I've always said that within that, the common complaint within Raw is like it's too long. And then the defense of that is like, oh yeah, but you got 3 hours to fill. You have to have these segments go long. My argument was like, why not have an NXT recap? Like, just, you could fill out a segment there where you just talk about what's happened in NXT recently, or like highlight someone within NXT, because then that will help them when they finally come up to the main roster. And it shows they've got some progression within NXT, that they're not just there and then randomly come up to Raw or SmackDown. It shows that there's like, hey, there's this guy called Andrade Cien Almas in NXT. He's this amazing Mexican star. We've got this amazing video package that highlights his great achievements. It's not building him up for the main roster yet, but it's just highlighting who he is so that when he does come up to the main roster, people know who he is.
Yeah, I mean, there's the 3 hour issue. It is a massive issue.
It's a massive issue. But can I talk about how bad I feel for The Miz?
Oh, okay, yes, that's the big thing coming out of this. And or do you want to save it to the end? Because as Raw likes to do structurally, they have a really boring 20-minute opening segment, then they have a few scenes later on following through that narrative thread, and you get the main event payoff.
We'll talk about Miz in the main event.
So Matt Hardy beat Sheamus.
Yeah, poor old Sheamus and Cesaro losing both of their matches leading into their payback match.
Which usually dictates that the Hardys are going to win on Sunday.
Well, I would say that it usually dictates that Sheamus and Cesaro are going to win because they've lost both their matches.
Is that not what I said?
No, you said the Hardys. You said the Hardys are going to win.
Yeah, that's the same thing, right?
No, because I think Sheamus and Cesaro are going to win.
Oh, you think they're going to...
because
you're
because
right.
the Hardys have won both of their
You're
matches.
Right.
Yeah,
you got the words correct. Yeah.
I've written a book, you see.
Cheap plug.
That was a cheap plug.
Where can you get that book?
You can actually go to thisislukeowen.com for more information.
What's the book on?
It's on video game movie adaptations.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I interviewed a little big Hollywood names who've directed video game adaptations like Super Mario Brothers and Street Fighter.
Okay, enough of this.
Paul W.S. Anderson wrote the foreword.
We're trying to stay on track here. Jack Gallagher and Austin Aries beat TJ Perkins and Neville. I thought that was the night's best match.
Best match on the show.
Barely got 5 minutes.
Yep, absolutely.
So yeah, there's this unwritten rule apparently backstage that Vince McMahon doesn't want the cruiserweight matches going longer than 5 minutes.
Well, I thought that as well, but some of them have gone longer. Like they've been some
in the
10
last
minutes.
few weeks.
Yeah.
They have. But it seems to be going back the other way now.
Yeah, it did deserve more time, especially because I'm really enjoying this foursome that they've got on at the moment with Aries and Gallagher. Are you saying Gallagher?
That's the correct version, apparently.
Is it? Because
from Jack Gallagher himself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'd have always said Gallagher.
Yeah, that's the English way. That's the Oasis way.
Yeah.
Famous Britpop band.
And because Booker T on commentary said Gallagher, and I was like, oh man, Booker T said it right. And then I saw loads of people on Twitter going like, oh, Booker T botching his name, doesn't know anything. I was like,
What do you make of Booker T on commentary? So it's 2 weeks in now.
Well, I've always liked Booker T on commentary because he's really bad at it.
Yeah.
And I get some enjoyment out of that. Like
You like bad things.
I do like bad things. So like there's a match between I can't remember. It was Mark Henry.
Things.
It was Mark Henry and someone. It was when Mark Henry was world champion. It was
Hall of Pain.
His Hall of Pain era.
What a run!
Beautiful Mark Henry era. And there was a moment he used to do a move where like the people would be over the ropes or the middle rope, and then he'd run and he'd jump and like slide over them, like down their back and crush them against the ropes. Very impressive move for a man of his size. And I always remember Booker T once on commentary saying like, he done left a skid mark on that boy. And I, I was like, that is a line of commentary from Booker T that has always stuck with me. That and Shucky Ducky Quack Quack.
Shucky Ducky. What was that from?
I don't know. I can't even remember why he used to
gibberish.
say it. But he used to go, Shucky Ducky Quack Quack. Like, this guy is amazing. Amazing how bad he is at this job.
This is the latest of your impression repertoire.
But, like, he's great. Like, when he does the pre-show stuff, he's like, oh, my boy, Jack Gallagher, he done, oh, man, he gonna school someone. Ha, you get what I mean. Ha, yeah, King. And he just says...
He says it so passionately. You're like, okay.
Yeah,
cool. That was gibberish.
He just says words with, like peppered with laughs in between. It's like a Bob Holly promo. Like, Bob Holly would just go like, I'm gonna get you. Oh, yeah. I'm going in the ring.
Do you remember when Kevin Nash and Booker T were on commentary for TNA one night?
Yes.
That was something. That was genuinely brilliant.
Nash on commentary for Thunder is my all-time highlight.
Care.
Just doesn't care. He just went
care.
on and he was like, because that was when everyone was burying him for being the worst booker that WCW ever had.
Yeah.
And he would just go like, I just booked myself into the best position possible. Commentary. Oh man, it was great.
Okay, so yeah, but on that match, I forgot what we were talking about.
The Cruiserweight match.
The Cruiserweight. I'm liking TJ Perkins.
Love it,
heel
yeah.
run.
And I like him and Neville together. I think it's really awesome.
Okay, here is a meaty one. Kalisto beats Braun Strowman in a dumpster match.
Okay, so, right, well, I mean, I said there was some...
There's a lot to get in
Yeah,
here.
there were some booking issues with Raw, and this was part one of those bizarre booking choices. A, having Roman Reigns... having Braun Strowman lose a match leading into a match with Roman Reigns, a high-profile match against Roman Reigns at that point. So Braun Strowman has lost 2 matches now since he...
Ever, yeah.
Like, 2 matches ever, and one of those is to Kalisto.
On a Raw.
And
it's a dumpster match.
And, like, okay, so that's baffling in and of itself, but I hate slip on a banana peel finishes. Mm-hmm. When Kalisto didn't win the match, Braun Strowman lost the match himself because he slipped on a banana peel and, like, barely sold it and then just killed him afterwards.
Yeah.
So Kalisto didn't get over. Braun lost the match, so no one got over. It accomplishes nothing. It accomplished absolutely nothing.
It's more than that. It didn't just level things off. It actually derailed stuff that had been built up.
Yes.
Because when can you think of a WWE wrestler who has been so strongly built up with these ridiculous power spots back to back? Mm-hmm. One week you have the crazy, I'm not done with... What did he say?
Yeah, I'm not done with you.
I tried to do Booker T. Was Booker T running out to get him?
I'm not done with you, son.
Chicken wacka wah wah. Flipper giggle wah wah. I'm doing Rick and Morty now.
I've never seen that show.
It's a great show.
So I've heard.
So he deadlifts the ambulance, then he breaks the ring. What's it going to be this week?
He loses
a dumpster match to Kalisto.
Slips on a banana peel and falls in a dumpster.
How's he going to beat down Kalisto afterwards? I bet he's going to be furious. Whoa, there you go, for a little step.
Yeah.
It was hardly the 98.
No, well,
Age
yeah, I mean,
segment.
that's probably a good thing, though, because Terry Funk got really hurt doing
Well, apparently
that.
they lined the dumpster with a lot of padding, so it would have been fine anyway. Well, fine-ish, you know.
Yeah.
Or you could have had Kalisto slip out. I'm sure you can gimmick it up in a way to make it look better. That's what they did with the ambulance.
I was going to say they did a really good job hiding Roman on that stretcher. But, like, there could have been camera trickery that you probably could have done. But I just don't know why you would book Braun Strowman to lose now, of all places. Not especially, okay, it's baffling enough that you made him lose, or you booked him to lose as he's leading into his big marquee match against Roman Reigns at this Sunday's pay-per-view, available on the network for $9.99. But they're building him for Brock Lesnar. So why would you have him lose to Kalisto of all people?
I genuinely think
and I like Kalisto.
They've convinced themselves that wins and losses don't matter.
Yeah.
But if you just imagine what could have been, where you've got the unstoppable force versus the immovable object, you've got this momentum. We can talk about it with the stuff that happened on Smackdown as well. You just win. What is more enticing to you as a fan of combat sports? Someone who's been winning a lot and another person who's been winning a lot, and they collide. Like, all this nonsense of having someone lose to plant the seeds of doubt, as if that makes it a more... Like, I want to watch that more. It makes it more watchable. It doesn't. It can occasionally, if there's an underdog element to it, but not when it's Braun Strowman. I want to see Braun Strowman beat people up with ridiculous feats of strength.
There's a reason why the Brock Lesnar-Goldberg match worked so well at WrestleMania. It's because it really did feel like it was two unstoppable forces colliding in the ring. I mean, you said the unstoppable force against the immovable object. WrestleMania bloody 3, mate. Like, you know, it's one of your biggest like events ever. The one that you promote the most because it was that, and that was built around two lads who don't lose are finally going to fight. Exactly. And I don't get it. And it really bugs me that ever since Ray's left, the WWE have been looking for their next Hispanic star. They've been looking for their next Rey Mysterio. They thought it was going to be Alberto Del Rio. That didn't pan out because I think that he should have won at WrestleMania. I understand that Edge was retiring and they wanted him to have his last big win, but Alberto lost all momentum from that, and then he never really recovered from it. And then he came back and they tried to do the Mex America thing. Yeah. That flopped. And then he was put with the League of Geeks, and then that didn't work out. And now he's TNA champion. Or is he Global Force Wrestling champion?
He's Global Force. That's a spoiler.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. That was under tapings at the weekend.
Sorry. So the Alberto Del Rio thing failed. But then you're like, okay, so you've got Kalisto. Because Kalisto could be a big lucha star. It didn't work with Sin Cara, the original, and we've not really tried with the second one, but we could try with Kalisto. But they're not. They just treat him as a complete jobber. And the reason why Rey was such a big draw for them, because not only was he an Hispanic star, that they particularly drove into the ground when he won the World Heavyweight Championship by just booking him to lose all the time, and then the Hispanic audience tuned out. He sells merchandise to kids. Because kids like buying the mask. So it kind of baffles me that they brought in Andrade into NXT, took the mask off him.
Get the cool hat though, and the suspenders.
That's the thing. What are they going to do? Sell suspenders to kids? They could have sold masks. Okay, I get it.
I get some Alma suspenders.
I get it. Andrade he's a handsome dude. Like when he came into NXT and I realized that they'd taken the mask off him, I was like, whew, he is a handsome man. He is a handsome dude. And that's why they did it with Alberto as well, because they thought he was a handsome guy. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, but you've missed out on all these mask sales, all these merchandise sales you could have done.
I'm going to rein you back in from the Almas love to talk about the Braun Strowman match.
Yes, please do. Well, yes. I need to get your thoughts on... I mean, I've ranted about Kalisto now.
The stuff I said already, that it derailed Braun Strowman's momentum, it doesn't make the payback match as enticing, which is what a go-home show should do. But the more problematic bit for me, because that's just silly wrestling stuff, is I didn't like it when they did the written interview profile highlight bit of Roman Reigns, where he said, these 2 weeks have been the toughest of my career and life because not only did my real-life brother, Matt Rosie Anoa'i, I learned how to say that recently, passed away, I was also really badly beaten up by Braun Strowman. And it made me feel feel wrong inside.
Yeah, I didn't like it either. I mean, it's really unfortunate. And, condolences to the family. And
do you want to say it?
No, because I'll butcher it.
Anoa'i.
Tatsumi Fujinami. That was the name I kept getting wrong.
Michinoku.
You did a really good job of Kazuchika
Okada.
Yeah, I always bugger it up.
I did Japanese at school.
Did you really?
I did. I wanted to read the Pokemon cards.
Wow, man, that's impressive.
It's not. I cannot say anything. Ohayo gozaimasu. I can read phonetically the alphabet, but I don't know what the words mean.
And yada is about the only thing that I know.
I don't even know what that is.
I think it means yes. Or like yay, basically. It's what Chun-Li says when she wins the Street Fighter.
We've done Brooke and Fox. My notes for that is just the word awful.
Dana, so we were talking last week about people that should go back down to NXT to get some more stuff down there. Yeah, Dana needs to go back down. Like, she needs a refresh of her character. That's a real shame because I love Dana Brooke and I want to see her succeed.
Samoa Joe and Galanderson were meant to take on Seth Rollins, Enzo, and Big Cass, but the heels ambushed Enzo first, and Finn Balor came out. Now, there is not a rumour, it's a fan theory that someone put on Reddit. And they said, isn't it weird how in the last couple of weeks, Seth Rollins' tag team partner has been taken out, and then Finn Balor has been the replacement? And then you're like, Finn Balor was injured by Seth Rollins back in SummerSlam.
Oh, I like that.
It's cool, right? It's not going to happen. It's not going to result in anything on WWE, but it's there.
Man, I like that. If that leads to the Finn Balor heel turn and that he reveals that he was the mastermind behind the thing, that'd be great.
It would be great.
Yeah, he suckered you in.
The other notable thing here is I was going to say Omega's new finisher, but it was Seth Rollins' new finisher.
Yeah, it's basically the Rainmaker.
Rainmaker into a jumping knee, rather, which is one of Kenny Omega's signature moves.
Yeah.
There was a bit of fun tweeting about it.
It's what the Wrestle Kingdom match was built around.
Yeah.
Which is why it was 6 stars.
Have you heard the proposed name for this move?
No.
Kingslayer. I like that. I don't want them to call.
I was going to say it's bad enough that they say it like 20,000 times during a match.
The artist Shinsuke Nakamura.
We'll come on to that. Good lord, they've got to have the gentleman Jack Gallagher. They've got to have Gallagher. Yeah. Was it? No, my least favorite one is the outlandish Rich Swann.
What's outlandish about him?
He does dancing, mate.
Have
you ever seen people dance? It's outlandish.
Yeah. Sasha Banks beat Alexa Bliss, but really, I like this match. I thought, Bliss is so good on the mic. Yep. It was nice to see her properly put out her stuff on Raw.
And she shut down the what chance as well in a very, very professional manner.
Alexa Bliss is great, says what?
Yeah, say what if you think Alexa Bliss is great. It's so great, because people go like, what? Oh, no, boo!
Not as good as the Undertaker's response. Do you remember that one?
No.
It was when he was doing his American Badass, but the cool version. Yeah. And he says...
a cool version of that.
No, it was a bit later, the more MMA... I liked American Badass Taker.
Dated horribly.
And he says... I haven't gone back and watched it. But he goes, say what if you sleep with your sister? And everyone goes, what? No, man.
My favourite was Roddy Piper, which is when he came back and he was doing an in-ring segment. I can't remember who it was, but it was at a WrestleMania. And the crowd had given him the what treatment. And he just went, what are you, deaf? And everyone stopped doing it after that.
It's quite an old man. Probably didn't even get it. So I liked how Alexa Bliss ended. I've seen some people like, just count out victory. But it made sense. Bliss wasn't being a chicken S-word heel. She was just, I'm going to save myself for a match on Sunday.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
I'm going to walk out.
Yeah.
That's a totally good move.
Yeah, I like it. I'm a fan of those.
And then when she hit Bailey in the head afterwards and then ran away when Sasha came back.
So great.
That was good. Like, she manages to do that without looking like a chicken S heel.
Yep.
Which I like.
Here's a hot take. Thumbs up for Alexa Bliss. She's very, very good.
Not in the ring.
I think she's all right.
Apollo Crews beat Kurt Hawkins.
The push begins. I told you, man. Is a main eventer waiting to happen.
Especially with the Titus O'Neil brand.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he's got to get through this little, jobber lower mid card thing first, and then the push begins.
We've gone long. We're 27 minutes in, and we've just talked about Raw. So let's make these as brief as you can. The main event. The payoff to your Miz Fury.
Yeah, well, okay, so I feel bad for Miz. He was doing, I've said this on quite a few videos now, he was doing so well on SmackDown, he was doing great on Talking Smack, he was really turning himself into a possible credible main event heel, and he really could have had a great title contendership or a title run out of it. It would have been awesome. And yet...
Pun intended.
Pun intended. Well, it wasn't, but yes, it is intended. And then he goes to Raw. The first thing he does is be fooled by Dean Ambrose and then get dirty deeds. And then, I can't even remember what he did last week.
Main event, he lost to Kevin Owens.
He lost to Kevin Owens.
No, Sami Zayn, sorry.
Yeah, lost to Sami Zayn. And then he's lost to Dean Ambrose as well. I think they had a match. Probably. He did, because we were saying they'd just moved feuds across.
Yeah.
And then this week, he got given the dirty deeds in the opening segment, and then got put into the situation where he is the heel in a 2-on-1 handicap match, advantage babyface. So... he's then not being booked correctly as a heel, where he's got to be the gallant fighting heel. And his whole thing is then he's gets duped by Bray Wyatt, who gives him the Sister Abigail, just looks like a chump.
Yeah.
He just looks like a complete chump. I
feel
so bad for him.
I've got to say, Bray Wyatt, I thought looked awesome in that last bit. He got a huge crowd pop when he gave it to The Miz, when he gave Sister Abigail to The Miz, his own partner, because you're like, Bray's a badass heel, and that's how I want Bray to be.
Yep.
But almost a face. But it's a shame it came at the Miz's expense.
And the match itself is baffling. How they did this at a SmackDown pay-per-view last year, where they had Kalisto and Apollo Crews taking on Dolph Ziggler, the heel, in a 2-on-1 handicap match, advantage babyface. How is that supposed to get over babyfaces? Okay, so just watch that match. You've got The Miz, the fighting heel, taking on these two babyfaces who can't beat up one guy.
usually we'd say, oh, but at least there's SmackDown. At least there's the glorious 2 hours that fly by of the blue brand. But it started bad and then continued to be exactly the same as last week.
Yeah, okay. I think there's one massive overriding issue I have with SmackDown at the moment, and it was something that Dave Meltzer brought up on Wrestling Observer Radio in the week last week, I think. It might have been the Wednesday show. And he was talking about the problem with the SmackDown brand, with Jinder Mahal being the #1 contender, is that to an everyday audience, that perceives that this former Raw jobber, who was a jobber to the stars, who just lost matches, that's all he was there to do, is now a #1 contender on the blue brand, which just means that all the guys over here are all jobbers to the Raw guys. So I'm all for building Jinder Mahal as a potential top star. I'm not sure if he's going to work, but I'd have built it more rather than just randomly giving him a win.
Yeah,
and making him #1 contender. So that's one side of it. And I kind of was disagreeing with Dave, not in person because I don't know him, but like while I was listening.
I wish I knew him.
While I was listening.
Love Dave Meltzer.
Like while I was listening to him on the radio. And then this week, you had Breezango become the #1 contenders for the SmackDown titles. Now, Breezango are comedy jobber geeks. And not only did they beat American Alpha's time, they comfortably beat American Alpha's time. So now
the Colognes were beaten by American Alpha. It's all a knock-on effect.
Exactly. So now all of a sudden you're like, okay, so you had this former jobber who's the #1 contender for the WWE Championship, and you've got this jobber tag team who are the #1 contenders for the tag team champions. Again, I'm all for building stars, and I love Breezango as an act. I did not like them on Talking Smack. They were like almost turn it off heat. I really didn't like them on there.
Oh, I didn't watch it.
Oh, they were weird, man.
Yeah,
it was weird. It was really uncomfortable. It was Fandango more than anything.
What was he doing?
They were trying to make jokes.
He's a Southpaw Regional Wrestling. He's Chet.
No,
Chet Butterfield. Or is that
he was just he was speaking in like almost a Zoolander style voice, but they were making jokes that weren't funny, and like there were lots of awkward pauses because JBL didn't know how to react and Renee didn't know how to react. They weren't being funny. It was just, it was mad awkward, man. It was mad awkward.
Well, usually JBL would just start bullying people, but he's not allowed to do that at the moment.
I will say Tyler Breeze was the better of the two, but that's because Tyler Breeze, I think, was trying to like use it as an opportunity to build them up as actual credible things, credible contenders. But at the same time, they still got that, they're jobbers.
Yeah.
And you can't just take jobbers and then be like, now they're contenders. You have to rebuild people.
Okay, you might be able to do one. It's still not advisable, but okay if you do one. But in the last couple of weeks, it's happened with Jinder Mahal, it's happened with the Shining Stars, who are now the Colognes, it's happened with Breezango, and to an extent, it's happened with Carmella, Natalia, and Tamina as this new lady faction in the main in this week's main event.
And it was funny as well because when they announced they were doing this tag team beat the clock challenge, I did sit there and think, it's like, who is competing in this? Because they did say it's only 4 teams, like, good one, guys. You got your 4 teams there. And it was, and American Alpha and the Colognes came out, and I did suddenly go like, who are the other teams then?
You've got the Usos,
and then and I was like, and I was like, and the New Day aren't coming back, and then we're like, and we've got Breezango versus the Ascension coming up, and I was like, good lord, what a jobberific tag team match you've got there. And then Breezango won comfortably in 2.5 minutes. I was kind of dumbfounded by the whole thing. And I'm a big SmackDown fan, and I like Breezango.
I like Breezango too. It's just another placeholder until the New Day come back, because I think the money is in the New Day Usos feud.
Which I would much rather see.
I'm just going to run through this in chronological order.
Because you probably have a lot to say on the Shinsuke angle.
So there were 2... Shinsuke Nakamura, he debuts on the main roster on SmackDown the 2 days after WrestleMania, and he just interrupts the Miz's segment.
Yeah.
Everyone thought it was awesome. It was awesome. I can't deny that. It was really cool. I just think there was a little bit, they could have done something more. He could have just kicked the Miz's head off, especially if the Miz was leaving.
Yes.
Just job out the Miz.
Yeah.
Keep on doing that.
I mean,
on all the brands.
He's jobbing out on Raw now. He may as well jobbed on his way out.
And then the week after, you had him talk to Dolph Ziggler. And it was I am Shinsuke Nakamura. And it was just like, that was a bit rubbish. But there was a bit of physicality there. So again, good, but not the best use of this guy. Last week, it was just a video package of him. And then this week, opening the show, Renee Young's in the middle of the ring. Nakamura comes out, big entrance.
The
Have
artist.
you noticed they've changed his font? He had an awesome font. I'm a guy who likes fonts.
Yeah.
And they've gone from this really nice sort of
bold
retro Godzilla look to crappy comic book. Not good comic. I don't really know how to describe it.
Comic Sans. I don't think I actually noticed.
Okay, yeah, have a look. Compare it to his NXT days. And even like the first night on SmackDown, he had a cooler looking font. Anyway, that is a very minor point. I do understand that. I'm not going to say they're burying him because they're not using
Yeah, that's what's killing him. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he comes out, and you expect this guy, Nakamura, whose English obviously isn't great. Yeah. And some people who can speak English as their native language, they can't cut promos. So maybe just as he's trying to get over at the start, don't put him in situations where he's exposed like that in the ring.
Yes.
So, and then you thought, oh, it looks like they're going that way, because just as he's about to speak, Dolph Ziggler comes out. But then Dolph Ziggler just stands there and does this really unfunny running skit about, oh, it's great to see you back. How's your monkey Bubbles doing?
Yeah.
How's Dreamland or whatever it's pretending that Shinsuke Nakamura is actually Michael Jackson, which is one of those pop culture references that it's WWE. It's like your mum or dad really forcibly trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And this was one of those. And
your target audience, if you are appealing to kids, do not know who Michael Jackson is.
Oh, I think they would, but it's just it's old, and like you're making this really cool new guy who has something. Why are you making him seem like a geek like that?
In all fairness, on Talking Smack, JBL was making jokes about Love Boat.
Yeah, well, JBL, all his references are... But I think that's part of his character. It does work that way. And the problem was Nakamura's facial reactions to what Ziggler was saying just made him look like a chump. It was like...
Yeah.
Like he was gurning. It was all real bad, I thought.
Yeah, it was not a great segment. It's not a great use of Nakamura. And like that's the key to it, is that everyone was worried when Nakamura was going to be called up because WWE are big on promos. Like that's the thing, is like you can't get over if you can't cut a promo. And because English isn't his first language, his promos aren't the best. His delivery kind of gets around it because he's a bit weird and he's a bit unique when he sort of says things. But when you're trying to like insult someone, but you can't quite get the words as we would say them now.
The cadence, the emphasis on the right bits.
Exactly. Yeah. The crowd don't react to it, and they were giving him the what treatment. By the way, F you guys for giving him the what treatment.
Not you guys.
Not you guys. But unless you were there and were at the show.
They're viewing the channel. They're good. They're valuable people.
I'm sure people who watch this... Oh, got another T-shirt fell.
Ah, no, I put them up so they wouldn't fall down.
Oh, man. Coat hangers, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people who watch our show wouldn't give Nakamura the what treatment. But it was not the best use of him. Now, okay, here's an example I would like to give you. Brock Lesnar, since he's come back and had Paul Heyman as advocate, has barely said a word. Because he's this silent killer. He doesn't need to say a word.
And he can't. He can't really talk. Unless it's like a backstage pre-taped thing.
Yeah.
Where he's, really cool.
Yeah, exactly. But like when he's in the middle of the ring, he just has someone cut a promo for him and he's just this silent killer and he just looks really imposing and stuff. I don't see the problem of having Nakamura be that silent killer who doesn't say anything. So you've got Dolph Ziggler there talking about doing his rubbish Michael Jackson promo, and Shinsuke looks like he's going to cut a promo. Just dex him. Just and do it that way rather than exposing his lack of English, because that's what's going to kill him on the main roster.
That's it.
It took them 3 weeks.
Yeah, and didn't we say last week? I was like, I don't know, WWE, they're very promo heavy. I can see them screwing up Nakamura.
But I'm like, it's Nakamura. How can you mess this up? And I mean, they found a way.
Yeah,
they found a way.
I sent a tweet with today's video. It's like the fans say Nakamura's so cool. No, even WWE can't screw him up. And then WWE, hold my drink. Yeah, so we're not saying Nakamura's ruined. Far from it, because it's 3 weeks in. And I'm completely salvageable.
And I'm sure they're going to have a really good match at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's just that you've got someone like that, and it's just like 101 stuff.
Yeah.
You're just making mistakes. I'm just going to run through this really quick because we have gone over anyway. AJ Styles beat Baron Corbin, which was a rematch from last week. This is my major problem with SmackDown this week. There were 3 rematches that we saw last week, and the other match was one from 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
The only fresh match was Breezango versus The Ascension. Hardly anything to get excited about.
Geeks.
It looked like Sami Zayn was going to go up against Baron Corbin at the end of that match. And of course, you got Styles and Kevin Owens. American Alpha beat the Colognes. Rusev said that he won't come to SmackDown unless he gets a championship opportunity at Money in the Bank. So Randy Orton's new gimmick could just be beating up foreigners. Take that, Jinder Mahal. Take that, Rusev.
We hate diversity.
Jinder Mahal, week 2. I thought he was pretty good.
Yeah,
I liked it.
He cut a fairly generic promo, but he did it fine. And I kind of liked it when they were just beating him down and he just stole the title. And when he was like outside of the roof of that car with the title, I was like, that's a pretty badass image.
Yeah, I thought just him in the suit and the Singh brothers in the suit with the title.
And they're not the Bollywood
didn't look
boys.
Out of place.
They're not the Bollywood boys apparently now.
Yes, the Singh brothers.
Apparently, yeah. Although to that comment last week, who said that the Bollywood boys have been heels in NXT as of late, I don't recall that at all. I mean, they've been jobbers, but I don't recall them being heels. So sorry about that.
We had Breezango beating the Ascension, and finally Naomi versus Charlotte. No winner. This was a rematch from last week, of course, again. Because the new heel faction, which Becky Lynch, did you hear her suggestion for the name?
They call it the Welcoming Committee.
Oh no, the new wench order, she said. But the commentators just kept on saying the Welcoming Committee. And I was just like, please do not. I know how you work, WWE. I can feel you shoving this verbiage down my throat.
Demon King, Ultimate Thrill Ride.
But I like this. I quite like the directions this can go in.
Yeah, because you can now do not only just matches for the championship, you can do six woman tags with Becky Lynch in there as well, and that works great for me, and it gives Carmella something to work with.
Raw versus SmackDown. Then, what do you think was better, Luke?
It's a tough one, but I'm gonna go SmackDown because it was shorter.
Yep, I think that's a valuable.
I mean, I had just as many issues with SmackDown as I did with Raw, but at least SmackDown didn't have 2 baby faces going up against 1 heel, and it didn't have your monster heel slipping on a banana peel. Yeah, that's all the positives I can give SmackDown.
I think the Miz in the main event was totally ridiculous. The Braun Strowman thing was totally ridiculous. Those 2 are such big negatives that while the rest of Raw was middling to below average, those really drag it down. Whereas SmackDown, the only major negative was the Nakamura stuff. At least everything else, although repetitive, was kind of curious to see where it goes with the Breezango stuff and the women's faction.
And they are building stars and they're trying to build new characters. And I can get behind that. As I said, like, I've got issues with Breezango just being thrown into this #1 position, but at least you're trying to build new people rather than just relying on the same old.
Well, that's all we've got time for, though, so click the videos to the left so you can catch up with the latest episode of that WrestleRamble show. I nearly called it by its old name. And, of course, all the other happenings in professional wrestling with the Wrestle Talk News. This has been Luke Owen, I've been Oli Davis, and that was Rambling.